Hello, welcome to Mimi's Math Channel. Today I will be demonstrating how to use the rule for a special right triangle, specifically 30, 60, 90. So the rule shows us that it's going to have the short side that correlates with the variable s. You can use any variable that you want. I'm using s for sides. The long side, then the rule says that it's going to be s times the root of 3. And for your hypotenuse, it's going to be 2 times the variable s. So if I'm looking at the actual triangle, I want to look at the angles, and then the side that's opposite correlates with it. So for instance, I've color-coded it. The right angle is the little square that you see. Across from that, you will always find the longest side of your triangle. That's known as your hypotenuse. Highlighted in red is 30 degrees. That's my smallest angle. So if I go across from that, it's my short side. The next side is going to be the angle that's in between the 30 and the 90. What I need to know is that a triangle has the sum of all three angles is going to be 180 degrees. So if I already know that the right angle symbol represents 90 degrees, and then I have 30 degrees that's shown, that's 120 degrees. I subtract that from 180 and I get 60 degrees. I could also remember that if my right angle symbol represents 90 and I'm given 30, these two angles have to be what's known as complementary. That means that if you add them together, they're going to equal 90. So looking at the color code, just go ahead and write this down in your notes somewhere so you will understand which side goes with which angle. If I am given the shorter side, but I'm trying to find the longer sides, what I want to do is refer to that rule. And that rule tells me if I'm given the short side, which is my variable s, and I wanted to find the long side, all I have to do is multiply it times root 3. If I want to find the hypotenuse, all I would have to do is multiply it times 2. And now if I wanted to work backwards and I was given the longer side information, but I wanted to find the shorter side, then I want to divide 2. That will give me my s. Now from that point, once I find my short side, which is s, then I would try to find my long side by just multiplying it times root 3. So when given the short side, and again, I'm looking at my angle, which is the smallest angle, and across from it, that is my short side. I am told that the short side is 20. Remember, short side is just my variable s. So if I wanted to find the long side, all I have to do is multiply that times root 3. So to find the long side, I'm going to take 20, which is my short side, and I'm going to multiply it times root 3. So now if I want to find my hypotenuse, I'm going to take my short side and I'm going to multiply it times 2 because that's what my rule tells me to do. So 2 times my short side, which is 20, is 40. And now let's move on to the next example where I am given the angle and the short side is across from it. I want to try to find the long side just by multiplying it times root 3. So this is 8 root 3, which is my short side, which is represented by s. To find the long side, it tells me to multiply it times root 3. I told you in class that if you ever have a radical times itself, it's simply the radicand. This is going to be 8 times 3, which is 24. Again, root 3 times root 3 is root 9, or square root of 9. Square root of 9 is 3. So now for my hypotenuse, I simply take my s and I multiply it times 2. So 2 times 8 square root of 3. And once I simplify that, that's 2 times 8, that's 16. And then I just bring over the root 3. For example 2, I am given the long side. So if I have the long side, that means I'm looking at the angle that's in the middle between the 30 and the 90. And what side is across from it, it correlates with my long side. So I'm given that the long side is 4 root 3. But I want to find the short side. So if I'm going from long to short, then I'm going to divide. So I have 4 root 3. What do I want to divide by? I want to divide by what's in my rule, which is root 3. Well, I see on the top I have root 3, and on the bottom I also have root 3. So if I get rid of that, I'm simply left with 4. My hypotenuse is larger, so I'm going from long to longer. That means that I'm trying to multiply. So now I'm going to take the rule, which says 2, but it says 2 times s. I just found s, right? S is going to be my short side. So I'm going to take that 2 from my hypotenuse rule, and I'm going to multiply it times 4. So in the next example, which is still where you're given the long side, I want to find the short side again using a rule. What's given is the long side, which is 2, but my rule tells me what I'm going to do in order to find the short side is I'm going to have to divide. So I'm going to divide by root 3. That will look like 2 root 3. Now in class, I told you that you can't have a radical in the denominator. You have to do what's known as rationalize radicalizing, which means you're going to multiply the numerator and the denominator by that radical that you're trying to get rid of. Once I simplify this, I'm just multiplying across 2 root 3, and a radical times itself again is the radicand, which is simply 3. So now this is my short side, which is my s. In order to find hypotenuse, what I have to do is take that short side and multiply it times 2. That's based off of the rule. So I'm going to take 2 and multiply it times 2 radical 3 over 3, which is my short side. And once I multiply the 2 times the numerator, I simply have 4 root 3 all over 3. In my last example, I am given the hypotenuse, and I want to find the short side as well as the long side. So if I'm given the longest side, that means I need to divide in order to get the short side. And what am I going to divide by? Well, the rule says 2. Again, this is going to be my hypotenuse, 12. So I'm going to take 12 to find my short side, s, divided by 2, and that gives me 6. So now that I know what my short side is, I can find my long side by simply multiplying that times root 3. So 6 times root 3 is simply 6 root 3. I am giving my hypotenuse again, and this time is shown as a radical, and I want to use the rule to divide this time because I'm going from big to small. Whenever I do that, I want to divide. So I have 20 root 3 divided by 3, and all of that is going to be divided by 2 based off of my rule. Well, what this really means is I'm going to multiply the numerator times the reciprocal of the denominator. This is simply 2 over 1, but the reciprocal means you're going to flip the numerator and the denominator, so it's 1 over 2 now. Once I simplify this, I end up with 20 root 3 over 3 times 2 is 6. Well, I see that I can further simplify the 20 and the 6 by dividing both by 2, which leaves me with 10 root 3 all over 3. So this is my s in the formula for my short side. Now to find my long side, I have to multiply that s times radical 3. So that will look like 10 root 3 over 3 times root 3, which is my rule. So this is really 10 times 3 all over 3. So I can see that I have a 3 in the numerator and the denominator, so I can just go ahead and get rid of it, and I'm left with 10. So that's the easiest way to do it. Otherwise, you could have said 10 times 3 is 30, and then 30 divided by 3 is 10. Please remember to like and subscribe. Have an awesome day.